why John F. Kennedy, not Robert Kennedy?
And that's been the message. That's been the same message for 25 years. It's the same thing that's happening in the United States. What's dividing our country?
Free. And been doing all these interviews and talking about the X and all that. Has anyone from the Mafia, from, what did you say, have they ever approached you and said, we don't want you talking about that no more?
Yeah, I've heard that. And I've told them, sorry guys, but I'm going to do what I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I told them in a nice way. Well, you're saying things that, I said, look, everything that I'm saying has been said already on tapes by everybody else with big mouths. I said, so I'm not putting, I told her, I said, listen, I won't put anybody in prison, nor will I ever put anybody in prison. That's not my way. So they went back on it.
The Mafia, American Mafia, involved in the death of John Kennedy?
Okay. Well, I was 10 years old when Kennedy was killed. So obviously I wasn't there. I wasn't part of the life, but my father was a big part of that life. And once I became a member of that life, all I ever was told from people that were there during that time, in the know, bosses, my dad, that there's no question that the mob, that we killed Kennedy. We were involved in that assassination because Joe Kennedy, the father, made a deal with the Mafia that if we delivered votes to get his son elected, that we would have favor in the White House. Well, that didn't happen. And we did deliver the presidency to Kennedy in Chicago, where the race was very tight. Yeah, and that's what pushed him over. They went back on their word. Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy's brother, became the U.S. attorney and started going after the mob. They reversed. So guys said, no good.
But why John F. Kennedy, not Robert Kennedy? Because Robert Kennedy went after the Mafia and as a country attorney.
I think they aimed high, president.
And he was assassinated 5 years later.
Yes,
and
that was not mob related.
Not mob related.
No, not Robert Kennedy. I never heard that it was. Never.
In this part, which is the last part of our interview with Michael Francis, we have our special guest, Greg. He will join us for this part, which is an important part, and I really appreciate it, Michael, that you are kind of giving back to the community, or like regret what you've done. You've been there, you've seen a lot of things, you've done a lot of things. So is it your time now that, okay, I have a chance and I have to give a speech to youth and to some non-profit organizations or universities or churches or wherever you like to go and deliver your message? That okay with us, and he interested in talking about this topic.
My wife and I, caught that as you being a Christian. What faith are you, if I may ask?
Non-denominational. Yeah,
same here.
I am, and to answer your question, the Bible tells us that to those who've been given much, much is expected in return, and I've been extremely blessed. I tell people all the time, if you're a member of Cosa Nostra Mafia and you die of old age and you die free, you've really accomplished something, because most people don't. And I'll be 70 years old this year, and I'm free, did my time in prison, and I've been blessed with a family and a wife now for almost 37 years. And the Lord has blessed me in many, many ways. So I just feel that, I have to give back. And I love doing it. The Bible tells us also it's a better feeling to to give than to receive. And it's true. When you're helping somebody, when you're encouraging somebody, I get literally hundreds of, emails, text messages, direct messages, you know, Michael, I saw you on YouTube, you've helped me a lot, and people coming to you, you don't even know the people that you're helping just by sharing what God has done in your life. And it's a wonderful feeling, because I've had just about everything I can have in my life. You know, I don't need much more. You know, I've been very blessed in that way. So, you know, as long as God allows, I'll just continue doing it. You know, the pandemic stopped us a little bit, but fortunately we have a virtual resource to go to, you know, and people hear you.
So, despite of the stories that we have heard about the betrayal and a lot of things, you expose that and you reveal that information, let's say family or secret information, to the public, that your brother testified against your father, and he was back to the jail when he was 97 years old.
Yes.
And you mentioned that was painful for you and your family. And you shared that for people. Do you think it's part of this is that life and this is the outcomes of it, so please stay away from that life? Or it's what your intentions when you reveal that information? And I saw your video that you reserve it for a while and then you reveal it.
Well, you know, I say this all the time. I don't try to glorify the life, and I don't condemn the men that were in that life, because I was one of them. I just happen to be very blessed. But I always say the life itself is an evil life. And the reason I say that is because I don't know any family of any member of that life, including my own, not my wife and children, but mother, father, brothers, sisters. I don't know one family that hasn't been totally devastated. Every family of every member of that life that I know has been devastated. And any lifestyle that does that to a family is a bad lifestyle. So, I mean, my family suffered tremendously. My mother, you know, 33 years without a husband. She died. Her relationship with my dad was ugly at the end, because she blamed him for everything that went wrong. Now, what went wrong? I had a sister who died of an overdose of drugs, 27 years old. My younger sister was emotionally not stable. She died at 42, cancer. My younger brother, 25 years a drug addict. He contracted the HIV virus. He went into the witness protection program, testified against my own father. Son testifying against the father. Very painful. So it's a destructive life, and I attribute it all to my father's involvement in that life. That's it. If he wasn't involved in the life, none of that would have happened, in my opinion. So, and every family has the same story, different but the same, devastation. So it's not a good life. And I didn't want my family to have to go through that. And that's basically why I walked away.
Your brother's still alive?
My brother's alive.
Your younger brother?
Younger brother, he's 10 years younger than me.
So it's just you and him now?
It's me and him, yeah. And
you don't communicate at all?
I have communicated with him recently, yes. He got out of the witness protection program after 10 years, and he contacted me. And look, I still love my brother. I don't agree with what he did, but we're Christians, we forgive. You know, and I understand my brother's emotional problems that he went through. I don't give him right for it. And I won't make an excuse for what he did to put his father away, but I love him, I forgive him. I'm probably will see him. He's still kind of embarrassed to come around my family, because he disappointed my sons that were very close to him. That was their uncle. Yeah. And I don't think he can face them yet, you know. But I told him, you know, when you're ready, we're here. You have a family here, so.
It's good to share with people the lesson learned that you've learned from that life. And
well, listen, you know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Everybody has similar struggles in some ways. We have family struggles at times. We have, you know, health struggles at times. We have financial struggles at times. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, where you are. And when people can relate to your struggles and relate it to their own, and you can be an encouragement in some ways, it's very helpful to people. I have a community now that we started. I call it my crew. We have over. Oh, you belong. Okay.
I belong to it. I'm part of it.
Well, thank you, thank you. And we have now 13,000 members. And the great part of that, we put content in there to encourage people, but the great part about it is that they're encouraging one another.
Yes.
People are sharing,
See
encouraging one
others
another.
working.
Yeah, we are, we have different levels of the crew. But the great part for me is that these people are just encouraging one another. Everybody's posting encouraging things, talking. I get on a Zoom call with them every twice a month. And I bring the crew, the inner circle, we call that. And the questions that they ask, and we spend a couple hours on the phone, and it's just wonderful. People are, when somebody thanks you for encouraging them and to helping them in business. I tell people all the time, look, I get a lot of business questions. And my first question is, well, how's your life? How's things going with your life? Because you're going to run your business. Your business is a reflection of your life. Yeah. If your life is in disarray, your business is not going to be much better.
I focused this part of the interview to your life now and how you influence your community, whether you speak through your channel or you be a guest to some interviewers like us.
Yeah.
And this was a great thing.
Well, like I said, to those who've been given much is expected in return. And, I have to, you got to thank the media. Wherever I go in the world, people know about the Mafia. Movies, media. So they built, they gave me the platform. It wasn't that I built the platform. They gave us the platform. And there's intrigue all around the world about my lifestyle. So when I come, people are immediately interested, even if they didn't know who I was. Oh, Mafia, we got to go hear this guy. So the way I look at it as a brother in Christ is God gave me a platform that he knew,
I truly believe that.
Yes, there's no question. And people would say, you should be dead or in prison for the rest of your life. I said, I know, but God had a different plan and a purpose for my life. That's why I'm here. So if you think that I was that bad a guy and God was able to transform my life, what are you worried about? And it resonated. And that's been the message. That's been the same message for 25 years. And it doesn't get old. And people just take to it. And it's the truth. I believe it. There's no doubt.
When you became a Christian, were you in prison, or did you just get out? Or
my faith really took hold in prison. When I had all that time to spend with God, I will tell you this: if I didn't go to prison and spend all that time in solitary, I don't know that I would have become a Christian, because I think God had to break me. I was too much a product of that life. I was too much in control of myself, so I thought. And he had to break me down to God didn't cause me to go to prison. I caused myself to go. But he took advantage of the situation that I was in to resonate in my heart and let me learn about him. Because I tell people, you can't love somebody you don't know. You just can't. So I had to learn about God. I had to get close to him. I had to allow the Holy Spirit into my heart. And I didn't do this easy. I didn't say, okay, God, I'm ready. I said, no, God. I said, I took a blood oath. I trusted my Father. Look where I am. I said, why should I trust you? I mean it. And I got to tell you, I was so impressed when I went to Israel and I was in Jerusalem, and I saw how the Muslim and Jewish and Christian faith were side by side, loving one another. It was a great experience for me to see that. And many of my Muslim brothers were there. We were hugging each other. We were talking, and Jerusalem was just an amazing city. I felt like I went back in time. I loved it. Have you been?
no?
Oh, bro, you have to go.
For as much as I hang around their group, I've been to the mosque. I've been to all they're not parties,
Holy.
but their celebrations and all that. I've been to every one of them, and I have never felt more welcome.
It's the same thing that's happening in the United States. What's dividing our country? Politicians. Because the rhetoric that these people use one another trickles down to the people. If these people were decent to one another, instead of fighting and on their own agenda and name calling, it all trickles down. Look, I supported Donald Trump for one reason. I try to tell people, he wasn't my friend. I don't invite him for dinner, but his agenda for America I thought was good, okay? But his rhetoric was terrible, very divisive. He was his own worst enemy. You can't be that way. You have to bring people together. You have to unite. Even when people were Pelosi, and don't pay attention to her. Let her talk. Let her be the bad one. You do your job as president. And his advisors could not get through to him, because I knew a lot of people around Trump. He won't listen. He's a New Yorker. He's got to fight. I understand his mentality, because that's where, but I've softened. But he just could not get it through his head. If he would have stopped the rhetoric, he would have still been president. But
before we conclude our interview with you, we would like to thank you so much for having us here in beautiful, weather, and you love the Arabic coffee and
excellent
snacks. So we will move to take a break over there.
Great.
We need to get some sun over there. And thank you so much. We continue over there.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
This is tea. We used the hot tea and with a label of saffron tea.
Okay.
So some loves flavors.
Right.
So flavor could be mint tea, saffron tea, and another like some plants, they use it.
Got it.
We drink tea hot.
Very nice. What's more popular in your country, tea or coffee?
Coffee first, then
Coffee,
tea second.
and then tea second.
And when you have a guest, coffee is served first, then tea for second.
Oh, okay. Same here. Always coffee first. You don't have Starbucks in Saudi Arabia,
A
yes?
lot of Starbucks.
You do too?
Yeah.
In Saudi Arabia, do they like Starbucks coffee?
Yeah.
Because it's so different than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a specialties over there. Walid has a question about the existence of Mafia. Can you go ahead?
Is the Mafia still existing nowadays? I don't know, I didn't catch the whole conversation, but I don't know if you guys talked
We
about
didn't touch it.
Okay, so have you ever experienced or saw someone from Middle East in the Mafia? It's just a question that came on my mind when
It's
we were
repeated
preparing.
question.
Like,
Does the Mafia
does the Mafia exist in Middle East, or just
I've never heard of it in the Middle East, honestly.
okay?
The closest we got to the Middle East is I was buying tankers of oil from the Middle East.
That's true. I remember.
Can we have
Yeah.
our cuts?
Yeah. We were buying them as they came over. We were trading them as they came over. Yeah, it was. That's the closest that I know of anybody dealing with it.
The car trunk in the Mafia mentioned a lot in the movies, and you've mentioned before that some Mafia bosses see psychiatrists.
Yeah.
Your comments on
No. Psychiatrist, if a Mafia boss was ever seen a psychiatrist, he'd be right here by the end of the week. With the psychiatrist.
with the psychiatrist too?
Yes. No good.
Yeah, because a lot of movies mention that the car trunk, and a lot of
Yes.
bodies just discovered later, like 10
Yes.
days later, they are in the